Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily news television show broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached 11 million streaming views, and Queer News Tonight has been the most watched LGBTQ news and lifestyle show in the world in 2025.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ plus brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBT community. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
That's right, Larry. It is Monday, August 25th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ plus evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate on the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ plus experience. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ plus events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride FayWhat. Our nonprofit 501c3 magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ television stories.
In 2025, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this very table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ plus community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Greg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Greg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Greg, how are you, honey? Welcome back to the table, baby.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure to see you. So Aquaplex is going to be hosting their 3rd annual Labor Day White Party. Oh, all right. August 31st. Tell me what's happening.
Fort Lauderdale will soon sparkle in style as the 3rd annual North Beach Labor Day White Party takes over Aquaplex on Sunday, August 31st. The celebration, hosted by North Beach LGBTQ+ and friends, will begin at 1:30 p.m. with a lively brunch and dazzling drag show. Guests will experience a festive afternoon filled with fabulous performances, bottomless mimosas, and Bloody Marys, all set against the backdrop of Fort Lauderdale's vibrant queer culture. The event will also offer special North Beach discounts, ensuring an inclusive and welcoming atmosphere for all. Organizers promise an unforgettable afternoon where the community will come together dressed in white to celebrate Labor Day in true South Florida fashion. North Beach Friends is a unique LGBTQ social club that has many events, and you are invited to participate. Everyone is invited to sip and support North Beach's vibrant queer scene. More details are at North Beach LGBTQ and friends.org. You know, it took me a second, but I was like, oh yeah, the white after Labor Day.
I was going to ask you about that because, you know.
Because down here, we wear white all year round.
All year round.
Because it's always summer. But for the rest of the world and the rest of the country, no white after Labor Day because Serial Mom will come and hit you with a phone.
Oh my
but
God.
Anyway, we'll go into that later.
I need to ask about that. Yeah.
But no, it's so great that this group, which is North Beach in Fort Lauderdale. So we have to clarify that because it's not North Beach, Miami, which a lot of people know.
Yeah.
North Beach, Fort Lauderdale, so sort of like the Gulf Ocean area and everything. And I think it's great. They're doing all these events. They have special events. They have weekly events. So yeah, a good group. A good
Yeah,
guys.
well, but thank you for clearing that up because I always learned about that like on sitcoms, on TV sitcoms about like after Labor Day you
Yes.
don't wear white, right? But again, in South Florida, it's hot as heck, so we wear white all year round, and we don't shame anybody for doing it either, you know. But we do love ourselves a good theme, all right? So us gays, you give us a theme and we run with it. So you understand, like, you know, Greg is here saying white party, and Edward is like, okay, I got to get white wings for my boyfriend. I got to find.
Wear.
I bet your boyfriend has it already down pat. He already knows what both of you are wearing.
The only white thing that I wear besides my own skin.
But I love this. What a great idea. And you know what? It's perfect. Bottomless mimosas, all you can drink Bloody Marys. And at Aquaplex, you know, Aquaplex, come on, everything is in one location. You get to drink, party, and play all while being entertained by, you know, South Florida's incredible drag queens. So, I mean, it don't get no better than that, you know. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Aquaplex for the 3rd annual Labor Day White Party on August 31st. That is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome back to the table my friend Edward Otto Zelke. He's an accomplished brand influencer and marketing leader with a dynamic background in financial services and travel marketing. Edward currently serves as the Director of Marketing and Sponsorship for the world famous Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. So he also serves on the Gala Chorus's Communications Committee. Yes, he does. He does a lot. Edward, GMCSF is to open 2 auditions for season 16 that'll be here before you know it. And auditions are going to be September 3rd and September 6th right here at Sunshine Cathedral Plaza. Tell me what's happening out.
Yes, the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida will invite singers to audition for its highly anticipated season 16 this September. Known for blending artistry, community, and advocacy, the award-winning chorus will host auditions at Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale on Wednesday, September 3rd at 7 p.m. and again Saturday, September 6th at 1 p.m. Participants will be asked to showcase their vocal talents and share their passion for music in front of chorus leaders. Open to both seasoned performers and enthusiastic newcomers, the auditions will focus on welcoming individuals who value creativity, inclusivity, and the joy of singing together. By joining, singers will become part of a diverse ensemble that inspires audiences, open minds, and uplifts communities across South Florida through powerful performances. GMCSF promises a supportive environment where individuality will be celebrated and friendships formed. The Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is a vibrant community of singers blending generations and cultures in harmony with one mission: to shape a brighter, more inclusive future through music. More details will be available on gmcsf.org. We just had a couple of weeks ago our summer sing where we got to have the public come in and just, you know, get like an open house just to see like what a rehearsal was like. And then we had a bunch of people audition that day and we had 15 new singers join us. So yeah. And so, you know, we couldn't fit everybody in the time slot. So that's why we're doing more next week. So there'll be 2 more auditions coming up. And it's just really exciting for us because we're growing by numbers.
Oh my God. How many do you have with the 15 that you just added?
I think we're around the 180 mark.
I love that. Oh, that is beautiful.
All those voices?
All those voices. And together, okay, I have a couple questions. You know, I have questions, okay?
Love.
So you said that you welcome seasoned and novices, right? Is it difficult to get those 2 kind of personalities to work together in such a vibrant space with 200 people?
Well, I would ask Gabe that question, but you know what? As someone who also has some music background, it is a little bit of a challenge because you have to work with an ensemble. You know, it's not a soloist when you're standing next to people. It's about blending and it's about harmonizing. So, you know, it's more or less one voice being created for the stage. So, you know, I think seasoned people get that because they have that experience. It might be the newcomers that might just question it. But yeah, that's a great question.
Okay, and so then for your last show, that was incredible when you guys all had the gloves on and did abracadabra and all that, right? That was basically choreography that you had to learn as well. How about people that are like, oh man, I'm not good at choreo, but I can sing? You know, are you gentle with them? I mean, like.
No, that's great too, because, we meet everybody at their own levels. When you see a performance like ours, we do hire some dancers that do a lot of like the stuff that obviously our members can't do, but we work with somebody. We just we elected somebody from the membership that does the choreography. So it's more or less it's just hand movements, it's body movements, and if people are and people of a certain age or some people of not might have challenges in doing these steps or these moves, and we work with everybody in their own capacity. You'll see members singing, sitting on stools, singing at the concert too, because people have mobility issues.
Yes.
We want to. We've had people in wheelchairs too.
So you just meet them where they're at, exactly. And I love that. Okay, so how would this audition process go? Would it be like an American Idol kind of deal where there's 4 people there screaming at you, throwing things at you, a scorecard? Do you know right then and there? Or are you nice to people that are bad and you tell them later that they didn't make it? Like, what can people expect when they go?
They can expect a lot of friendly people, a lot of encouraging people. They want you to do your best and just come and sing, even if it's just happy birthday or, the Star Spangled Banner, that's fine too. It's just knowing that if you could sing in pitch, and you work with the piano player will play some notes and just seeing if you can match them. There has been the occasion where we've had to say no to some people, but we encourage people to take lessons, and, there's a lot of people that give vocal lessons in town. So, and there's other ways to also support the chorus too. You don't have to sing in it too. So we do have non-singing members that hold positions in leadership roles. So there's many opportunities. So just check us out on our website.
Well, and you've had to say no to somebody. Has it ever happened that somebody walks in and says, look, I only sing in the shower, but I figured why not try? And then you're blown away by the person?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of gems that we see. All of a sudden we'll walk in and all of a sudden it has like a very big Broadway voice or a very operatic voice, and it's like, so yeah. I mean,
the whole Susan Boyle.
You get a lot, you get a lot of people. You get a lot of people traveling down from other cities like Chicago and New York and LA. They'll come over here and they'll sing with us too.
I love that. And one last thing I'll tell our audience, okay? I get a lot of people that send me messages that are like, I just moved here. I don't know where to fit in. I can't find my crew. Right? And I'm always telling people, find groups like the Gay Men's Chorus. I mean, I know boys and girls that are part of your crew that eat dinner with their friendships that they have made in the chorus, and spend holidays with the people that they've met in the chorus. I mean, what a wonderful way to camaraderie, fellowship, all of that, right?
Yeah, and you touched on it that, you don't have to be gay or bisexual or male to be in the chorus. We do offer singing roles to people that can meet the tenor and baritone bass parts, and we do have about 3 or 4 women that are in the chorus with us too for that reason.
Great.
And we've had transgender members in and out, so we're very inclusive that way.
I love it. Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you all at the GMCSF auditions for season 16 on September 3rd and 6th. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome back to the table anchor Larry Farber. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production and casting, and in his free time, right? He's also a board member of the West Side Association. So Larry, 3-Card Stud by Ronnie Larson is set to premiere in Wilton Manors on September 5th. Tell me what's happening out.
Sure, FayWhat. The Foundry in Wilton Manors will soon host the premiere of 3-Card Stud, a playful and daring new comedy starring Brian Piedra and written and directed by South Florida's favorite, Ronnie Larson. Running from September 5th through the 28th, the show will bring laughter, charm, and a touch of risque humor to South Florida's theater scene. The story follows Shelley, an openly gay man, and his equally open son, Michael, as they navigate peaceful co-living until they both fall for the same guy. What unfolds is a witty and outrageous journey filled with complications, surprises, and heartwarming reminders that love knows no age. Audiences will be entertained by the show's campy humor and bold storytelling. It is strictly for ages 18 and over. With its mix of silliness, sexiness, and sincerity, 3-Card Stud promises to be a must-see theatrical experience. More details will be available at ronnielarson.com. Well, Ronnie knows how to do it. He knows how to get the wow factor in. He's done so many great productions, or, been part of it and part of our community. It kind of sounds like an interesting, premise. So
Yeah.
I think it would be fun to check this one out.
And Ronnie Larson doesn't take a break.
No, he doesn't.
That dude just does not, because he's still in the Torch song right now, and now three card stud, and what was it, the one before that he was doing at Richardson Park? The Hills Are Alive.
Music.
Yes.
The man doesn't
Phenomenal.
take a break.
No.
Like, I don't understand where he finds the time to sleep, right? But that explains why Ronnie Larson leaves me messages at 1 a.m, because that man does not sleep. All right, so I will definitely be checking this out, and I love any kind of theater. I'm a theater geek that way, and I think that many in community are, because we see ourselves, right, reflected on stage like that. And so I love the premise of this story. Like, gay boys, right? You and your dad are both gay, and you both end up falling for the same dude. Like, this is the story that, lives are made of. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all about this story.
Yeah,
He'll take stories or like thoughts of like the gay community. It's
Yes.
like, what if me and my gay, son or nephew all of a sudden fall in love with the same, and it's so crazy, but
It could happen.
It would happen because as more people, come out and more
Yes.
accepting and stuff, we might be competing for the same love. So who knows?
It could. Again, and I again love how all these things are based on reality, right? What was one of the shows that he did that I definitely could not take my grandma or anybody to? Truck Stop Sally or
Sally,
something,
yes,
right? We laughed because there were nude parts in that, and they were great. And some of them, he would get like people in our community to be part of the play, which was
They did
incredible.
cameos, some of our leaders.
He's very charismatic and he's very engaging and he's a big showman, and we just love him here because he reinvents. He'll do things that, are a little out of the box. Taking a musical and putting it into a park and then just letting it be for free for people. It's fantastic. He's community oriented. So definitely go see it.
Yeah, for sure. And Brian Piedra, he's cute. All right, I'll leave it at that. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the 3-Card Stud premiere in Wilton Manors on September 5th. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat.
What was that?
FayWhat?
12-year-old, just fell in your throat.
My voice keeps changing. She is a legendary events host. She is television and radio personality and the host of Hot Spots Happening Out, the FayWhat Show. Faye, Pop Royal Tea, is set to reign at Hunter's Nightclub on August 30th. Tell us what's happening.
Hunter's Nightclub does it again. Hunter's Nightclub in Wilton Manors will soon host Pop Royal Tea, a vibrant new Saturday afternoon tea dance on August 30th from 4 to 8 p.m. The 4-hour event will promise high-energy beats, iconic pop anthems, and a fabulous crowd ready to celebrate the queens of pop. The party will be powered by DJ Drew, I love him, spinning fan-favorite tracks while the ever-charismatic TP Lords will be hosting, keeping the energy fierce and entertaining. Guests will expect to groove to hits from legends like Gaga and Dua Lipa, sip strong drinks, and soak up the celebratory atmosphere. The event will be presented with support from Hunters, Java Joe's, Out South Florida, and Hotspots Happening Out Television Network. Importantly, a portion of the proceeds will benefit SunServe, supporting the local LGBTQ plus community. Taking place every last Saturday of the month, Pop Royal Tea has quickly become Wilton Manors' newest tradition for weekend revelry. Hunter's Nightclub in Wilton Manors is a known destination for LGBTQ plus nightlife in Fort Lauderdale. And for more details, visit FTLauderdale.com. There it is. All right. Or find Hunter's Nightclub on Facebook. This tea dance is right up my alley, right? I think that the older I get, right, the more I want to be home by 10. Right? Okay, I know it sounds crazy. You folks know how much I'm out. You folks know how much I'm out. But I like to be home, wrapped up in my blanket, and with the nearest dog by 11:30 p.m. You know what I mean? And this tea dance is so perfect. Have brunch somewhere, right? Or have a lunch, and then head on over to Hunter's by 4 o'clock. You're out of there by 8 because we're going to party for the whole 4 hours, especially if it's benefiting SunServe. Right. And you're home by 9. Come on. Don't nod your head. It's perfect, Edward. word.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Absolutely. You know, I'm one of those people too that will just probably call it a night at 7 p.m. You know, so this is right up my alley too, and this is why, you know, Hunters is such a vital business, you know, in our area, because it's not just, you know, for this event, but many events they open up their doors and they do Saturday tea dances. They just did one last week with the Chorus and the Bears. So, you know, they're always, you know, looking to help the community that way and opening up their space for that. And, and we're just so grateful to Mark and
Mark is a great guy.
Mark, Bruce,
really,
everybody over there. Diego, like what they do for us is just ridiculous. That Diego, that's another guy who sleeps there. All right. Diego Alonso doesn't have a boyfriend because he has no time to have a boyfriend. Okay. Like his boyfriend is Hunter's Nightclub. And we wouldn't have it any other way because we wouldn't get our community events so vibrant and so energetic without him, you know?
But as a word person, I love that play on pop royal tea. It took me a second. I get it. Tea dance. Okay. I'm a little old and slow. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Pop Royal Tea, get it? On August 30th. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. DeSantis and FDOT paint over Post Memorial again. In Orlando, Governor Ron DeSantis' administration ordered part of the Post Memorial painted over during the night. The LGBTQ community of Orlando, including Equality Florida and Orange County Democrats, condemned Governor Ron DeSantis for ordering part of the Post Memorial painted over during the night. The memorial honors the 49 lives lost in the Post nightclub massacre, one of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history. Equality Florida held a peaceful gathering at the Post Memorial, and those who were unable to attend showed their support by displaying rainbows at home, in public spaces, and online using the hashtag #ShowYourRainbow. Nadine Smith, executive director of Equality Florida, called the action, quote, a cowardly abuse of power, accusing DeSantis of attempting to erase LGBTQ visibility and censor history. Smith said, quote, like every cruel attack before it, the bans, the censorship, the relentless bigotry, this act is meant to scare us back into the closet. It's meant to make us doubt our safety and our right to exist in public. But while we're angry, we are not at all defeated, end quote. Orange County Dems also joined the protest by repainting in chalk the crosswalk in rainbow colors. Overnight, the FDOT repainted the crosswalk a second time to eliminate the Post Memorial rainbow. This morning, the Florida Highway Patrol has since been stationed near the memorial, and officials said anyone attempting to damage the crosswalk will face charges and arrest. The situation at the Post Memorial is very fluid and will be followed closely by hotspots happening out. You know, as someone who has walked those steps at Pulse, I can tell you this. You can paint over a rainbow, but you can't paint over history. 49 souls were taken from us, and no brush stroke from Tallahassee will ever erase them or their lives. Our community will keep showing up, rainbows, candles, voices, because our pride is forever. All right, so you can come and maybe the chalk will wash away by the rain, but we'll keep on coming back over and over and over again. And Nadine Smith said it best. I mean, cowardly. Yes. Cowardly. Like how, like, you know, they want us to worry so much about this, so we're not worried about the rest of the stuff, you know, about them coming after our marriage, about, you know, them deporting our friends, about just, you know, countless things that are going on here in Florida. They want us all to be worried about the crosswalks, so we're not asking about the Epstein files or anything like that. I mean, it's really disgusting.
Well, Governor, distract us. Thank you. You have definitely put the ass back into Tallahassee. And by the way, where's the money that your broodmare stole from her charity? Is that a way to distract us from that? Hopeless Florida? I mean, Hope Florida? Yeah, think about that.
You know, you can't erase us. no matter what, you can paint over crosswalks or whatever it is, but, we are here. We are always going to be here. We will paint ourselves. We will paint our buildings. We will do whatever it is to make ourselves visible. The chorus, in honor of Pulse next year, we're working with a composer that's writing a 30-minute piece on behalf of the 10th anniversary. That's what we're doing to honor Pulse and the LGBTQ plus community. So, pride is in many forms. Yeah. So, as much as the rainbow has been, a signal in our own community, we have to look at other ways to express ourselves. And I think through artistry and through culture is a great way to do that. Yeah. Obviously, because I love it so much. But no, it's just, like you said, a distraction. I think they don't want us thinking about the Epstein files. They don't want us thinking about a lot of things that are going on in this world. Yeah. But,
or the state.
Exactly. So, they're just, just trying to get our goat.
Get our goat. But my heart breaks for those family members, right? Absolutely. Those family members of the 49 folks, the loved ones of those 49 folks, to just wake up and see part of a memorial just painted over like nothing.
No. And we'll figure out ways to do the same thing. We'll do our own version of distraction. Just like they did when Fred Phelps many years ago.
The picket.
You would picket, Matthew Shepard and many others, deaths due to AIDS or related, hate crimes. And, we can do the same thing. We have to fight through entertainment, through love and understanding.
And protesting.
Absolutely. And protesting.
Yeah. And by protesting, I mean, today there's going to be a protest on A1A, right? At 6:30, right? Yes. There's our crosswalk that we have. There's even a crosswalk down there that's even out of the way. That's like not even, and they're also trying to erase that one as well. At Sebastian. Exactly. At Sebastian. Yes. And, and at 8 p.m. they're also having a protest on the Rainbow Bridge, So, I mean, wave your flags, right? If you can't be somewhere to protest, post about it, right? I live in a very predominantly straight area, right? I live in a very predominantly Haitian area. And I told my wife, let's get the flag out. You know what I mean? Let's put it in front of the house. I mean, someone steals it, vandalizes it, whatever. The point was to express that we will not be erased. Each LGBTQ plus, family, we all have a flag somewhere, So
many from festivals. Yeah.
Many. So wave it proud. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Greg Shapiro, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Will Paul Rolli be the next mayor of Wilton Manors? Out South Florida newspaper is reporting that the race for Wilton Manors' next mayor may be more than a year away, but it's already heating up. City Commissioner Paul Rolli has officially declared his candidacy for the November 2026 election, hoping to succeed Mayor Scott Newton, who will not seek re-election. Rolli, who has lived in Wilton Manors for 2 decades and served 2 years as vice mayor, told the Gazette why he's jumping in so early. He said, quote, "I've been talking to residents one-on-one. I decided it was easier to come out early. I can plan for my campaign, and it tells other people who's already in the race," end quote. Out South Florida's senior reporter John Hayden reports his campaign will focus on infrastructure, growth, and public safety. Rolli also sees artificial intelligence as an untapped tool to streamline city services. Development is high on his agenda. While many projects have been approved, construction delays continue. Rolli says it's time to revisit zoning codes and hear directly from experts. He's also open to revisiting height restrictions, noting that existing high-rises, such as Wilton Tower, haven't harmed neighborhoods. Public safety costs are climbing, with police, fire, and rescue contracts all outpacing inflation. Rolli insists quality comes at a price. He told Hayden, quote, "Everybody wants to keep the police. Well, you have to pay them," end quote. Out South Florida mentions that the city's library is another hot-button issue. Rolli supports shifting control to county, saying residents are being double-taxed. While acknowledging the library's children's programs, he argues modernization and volunteers can carry some of the load. If elected, Rolli would make history. The first openly gay mayor since the death in office of the last gay leader of Wilton Manors. I mean, that to me, I don't know. I know that there are not only gay people living in Wilton Manors, but because it's such a high majority or a high number, I think it's going to be great to have a gay mayor representing. I just think if he wins.
Yeah.
You know, I just think that that's, and you know, in the same way I live in Fort Lauderdale and it made me really happy that I have a gay mayor.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's seems kind of strange. Not all queer politicians have had success. Lori Lightfoot in Chicago was not the best mayor, but we're not even going to talk about that right now.
We're not going to talk about that. Well, listen, Paul Rolli has he's come to the table. You know, he's got his receipts, right? He has worked for us for decades. He has been a Wilton Manors tenant for over 2 decades. He was vice mayor. I mean, he's got all the receipts to show it, right? I don't think him being gay would make him a better mayor, right? It just, you know, we are a predominantly gay area, right? But that little sliver of Wilton Manors is just that little sliver, right? There's more to Wilton Manors that's not gay, right? You know, he would be the first out gay mayor, you know, for us, which, you know, which would be fantastic. He wouldn't be the first out gay person running, where we've had quite a few that have tried to run on that same kind of deal, like, oh, I would be your first gay mayor and I'm here to represent you, and it's never panned out, you know. So I don't give that as a credit, as a plus anymore. You know, Scott Newton has been an incredible mayor. He has done so much, and I remember having Scott in my bed, and me having like some kind of animosity because he was straight, right? And asking him all the real difficult questions, and he had all the right answers for me, you know? And so, you know, he served us in so many ways. I love that, like, he's ready to step down, that he's not gonna, you know, run again as our mayor. There are rumors that he might run for commission seat, right? Which we're all fantastic about, you know, because again, he really is an incredible ally. You know, Paul Rolli, you know, he shows up. You know, he's always there for our community. I can't wait to hear more from him. And the fact that he's decided to announce this a year before, you know, I mean, it's refreshing from my seat, right? Yeah. You know, you were able to speak to Mr. Rolli, weren't you, Edward? Okay.
So Paul Rolli has been a supporter of the chorus for many years, and he serves on the board of directors for us. And so I reached out to him and I asked him, like, if, you know, asking him why he's running, you know, anything more that he can elaborate on. And this is what he had to say. He said, "Aside from the current mayor, I'm the most experienced member of the city commission. I've been deeply involved in budgeting, strategic planning, redevelopment, and emergency response. I know how to lead through complexity, and I'm ready to get the work on day one. Wilton Manors is a special place, and I want to build on our progress while ensuring all residents, new and long time, feel heard and respected. With economic and political uncertainty at every level of government, now more than ever, we need to be proven stable leadership that knows how to get things done." And that's really what we need. You know,
100%.
He's somebody that's really been here for a really long time. He served 7 years as the commissioner and 2 years as the vice mayor. So yeah, he's had quite an experience, and he just loves this town. So yeah.
No, and having sat in many commission meetings as a West Side board member, you know, he certainly brings a lot to the table, as you mentioned, Edward. And it'll be interesting to see how this further develops and which other candidates may step forward into the race.
Yeah.
And certainly, hopefully, it's a fair and polite race. You know,
That would be a breath of fresh air.
yes.
Right. But politics are politics, and there's just so much about to happen when it comes to Wilton Manors, right? We're at such pivotal moments when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to different projects, when it comes to, you know, we're only 8 months into the Trump term. I mean, like, there's so much that would ride on our next mayor of Wilton Manors, right?
It's a very delicate balance.
Well,
you're seeing a lot in terms of, like, you know, new businesses and new buildings come up. There's a Wilton hotel that's going up and stuff, and some people are getting, Well, some people get nervous of it too. They're thinking, oh, you know, they're going to be very metro city now.
Yeah,
Change it.
which could
Right.
happen. Which could happen. Listen, Palmyra just announced that they're closing down. You know, I mean, restaurants like this, we're also losing places. You know what I mean? So not an easy one shoes to fill and role to fill on Paul Rolli. This is not the happiest of times for Wilton Manors, and this is when he wants to come and serve us.
Yeah.
You know,
But I think we need to be optimistic. You know, projects like the hotel, it's coming to fruition. Some have not. But other cities like Fort Lauderdale, you know, they probably could say the same thing, or Oakland Park. Things take time. We've had some developers sell the rights to other developers. You get approved, but then they sell the rights. So it's not always the politician's fault. But I think there's a lot of hope for Wilton Manors. I think we as a community need to patronize and remember to shop, you know, small businesses.
Up local.
Absolutely.
Local,
Absolutely.
yeah. But something we could all definitely agree on is that all the eyes are on anybody who's going to be running for, you know, a place like this when it comes to a city that's so LGBTQ like Wilton Manors, you know. But Paul Rolli, we got eyes on you. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Edward Otto Zelke, and let's queer up gay culture. Largest Pride in Blue, Nashville, may shut down over 250,000 sponsorship losses. Tennessee's largest Pride celebration is facing an uncertain future. Nashville Pride announced Wednesday that it must raise $250,000 by October 11th, which is National Coming Out Day, or risk shutting down. Organizers described the situation as a state of emergency, citing that when they call unprecedented anti-LGBTQ plus attacks. In a statement on its website, the group said, quote, "At a moment of unrelenting attacks on LGBTQ plus, Nashville Pride is in a state of emergency. In the face of unprecedented anti-LGBTQ plus attacks, we are fighting to keep our city's largest celebration of queer joy, visibility, and resistance alive. We don't need corporations to define Pride, but their funding makes the festival possible. The sudden withdrawal of longtime supporters has left a massive hole in our budget, putting the future of Pride in jeopardy." According to Nashville Pride, corporate sponsorships dropped by $270,000, nearly 40% compared to last year. Some pulled out as little as 30 days before the festival. Medical support was also canceled last minute, leaving an unexpected $30,000 bill. On top of that, organizers say security costs have more than doubled amid rising threats. Founded in 1988, Nashville Pride drew more than 150,000 people last year, but this year, severe weather cut attendance by over 15,000. Organizers warned that without urgent donations, they could lose the festival far more than the festival. Quote, "If we don't meet this goal, we are risking not just a weekend of celebration, but a safe space for 10 years of thousands of LGBTQ plus people and allies all year long. The future of Nashville Pride is at stake," end quote. Donations can be made at actblue.com/donate/save Nashville Pride. You know, this is always something that obviously is something that's on my mind constantly because part of my role for the chorus is sponsorship.
Yes.
And it's always been a concern for me too. And I've been anticipating this type of happening, you know, in terms of people, you know, holding back their dollars and stuff. And so, you know, I'm here to say that there are people and there are organizations and there are companies that do support us.
Yeah.
And in fact, you know, I've had a couple of sponsors, new sponsors come in for the chorus this year. So sometimes, you know, the well that you've been going to for the last few years is dried up. So you got to go dig your own other well.
I love that.
Sometimes you have to reinvent yourselves too, or reinvent the programs you're doing. Now, Pride festivals are, you know, the landmark of all the LGBTQ plus cities that are out there. So obviously, corporate sponsorships are going to pull out of that reason because it's the high visibility.
Yes.
It's from what I see.
Yeah.
But like, you know, if you're working in other nonprofits and organizations where you can feel like, you know, you're not just celebrating that, I think we're able to get those resources more than, you know, somebody that, you know, is working on like a festival perspective. So, I'm seeing that decline in a lot of the festivals, but there's other avenues that you can look at. And I'm hoping that people will start to realize that, especially now that, you know, it's the end of the summer and we've got our own prize coming up next year. So we really have to be at the table and think about how are we going to raise the money for this year.
Yeah. You know, we're constantly worried in our community that like, I don't have enough, or what I have, you're going to take away, right? Or if this organization gives you money, they can't give me money. Right. And that's not the case, right? Abundance, we can manifest abundance, folks, in LGBTQ plus, right? And like Edward said, let's just give out some fabulous, shovels, and let's start digging another well. You know what I mean? They're out there. There are so many people out there with money. It's just a matter of finding them and making that connection, you know?
And, you know, creating events that where you get those people to come and see. Sometimes you have to go into other demographics too, in other areas where you're not normally visible. You know, that's what we have to do too. So
100%.
You just have to be more creative. Well, you know, and if you're at the point, you know, 2 months now where you're realizing that you don't have enough money for your festival, I'm sorry, there might have been a little bit of poor budgeting and planning for that.
Yeah, no, and 250K, that's not, you know, a couple grand. That's 250,000. Like you said, maybe you change it up. Maybe you go back to grassroots. Maybe it's not a huge festival and it's a block party.
Exactly.
Whatever you've got to do, you've got to figure out what that is so your LGBTQ plus community still continues to be seen, right? Go get Little Nas X. Isn't he wandering the streets at 4 a.m. in a blackout? Get him to do it. And you'll get that 250K real quick. He used to be country, right?
He was.
I think so.
Okay.
Or get Miley Cyrus.
You see, you didn't think about that, Nashville Pride. I'm just saying.
Well, and the fact that it's been almost 40 years of existence, it's pretty amazing to think in Tennessee, in Nashville, because also keep in mind that the horrible, wicked, evil witch of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn, is planning to run for governor. If she runs for governor, we're probably going to see a lot more of this kind of bad stuff.
Yeah, this probably would be the last Nashville Pride that they're able to do, you know? And you know, one last thing, you know, there are prides that are put together for way less.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I know prides that have a budget of like 30 grand for the whole entire thing, okay? You know, so I'm just saying 250 grand and just, you know, we wish you well. You have a month and a half till coming out day. If anybody can do it, Nashville can do it. You know what I mean, right? I mean, you know, take a page out of Texas. Everything is bigger there. Maybe everything could be bigger in Tennessee as well, right?
And tap into some of the local artists, or even like, you know, some people will, you know, if you're hiring local artists and drag queens, hire them because that's who needs to work.
Listen, call Brandy Carlisle, right? Let's start looking for let's look for all the homo country people. Right, Shelly Wright, Brandy Clark, Billy Gilman. You're gay and country, right? T.J. Osborne. I don't know who any of these people are,
brothers,
but ask any of them, and they'll probably have the 250 just laying around.
Yes. And even Reba might help too.
Oh yeah, Reba.
How many drag queens do Reba?
Yeah,
right.
I think, you know, going back to what several people mentioned, you mentioned grassroots. You know. Start calling on volunteerism. There's nothing wrong with it being smaller scale. Some of the best festivals, even though I went to New York Pride when I was in the heart of New York, we had some in New Jersey that were just as good. You know, they had
Amboy Pride is everything.
Yeah,
it's everything, right, Edward?
Maplewood, South Orange, Montclair.
There's so many different variations you can do, and you don't have to be competing with major cities.
No.
You know? So definitely tap into the local resources.
It's about bringing everybody together and the message behind it.
Amen. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBT story for today. I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up drag culture. Will RuPaul's Drag Race Lexi Love be canceled on social media? Well, will RuPaul's Drag Race finalist Lexi Love survive a social media takedown? That's the question fans are asking as the Queen faces mounting copyright claims over her stage name. An actor, producer, and self-described AI architect and sustainable fashion entrepreneur, also named Lexi Love, is accusing the Drag Race star of infringing on her federally registered trademark. She's been posting legal warnings online, tagging Paramount, MTV, and World of Wonder, and demanding that contestant immediately cease all use of the Lexi Love registered trademark name. The trademark holder wrote on Twitter, quote, "Taking my name and using it without consent, you are erasing my 2-year decade legacy and identity, actions that directly contradict the values of consent, authenticity, and respect that LGBTQ plus and marginalized communities champion for. Immediately cease all use of the Lexi Love trademark name." For the Drag Race star, the fight is personal. In a statement shared with Out, she said, quote, "I've been using Lexi Love since 2009. She was apparently being tagged as me, which is how she discovered me. And then 2 months after I was announced on TV, she reinstated an old trademark she no longer had, and now is attacking my social media cameo and streaming music," end quote. She revealed that venues have already canceled her shows and music has been pulled from Spotify and Apple. Still, she remains hopeful. Quote, "At least at this point, I'm considering and more likely having a name me contest or something like that so I can keep as much of my brand and social media intact before she ruins everything that I've worked for and erase me off social media," end quote. As the Queen heads on tour in Australia, fans are left wondering, will Lexi Love be able to hold on to her name, or will social media platforms erase her drag legacy? Well, I think there's an opportunity here, and it's up to Legacy Love, the drag queen, how she wants to go. But I think she's off to a good start talking about maybe having a name that contest. I think, drag performers often poke fun at themselves. She can make this into a whole new part of her career, and I would encourage her to do that.
Well, I think the obvious, at least to me, I'm entering the contest here for the naming. Just change the spelling of love.
Yeah.
If you spell it L-U-V, you will still have Lexi Love. It will still sound the same.
100%.
It'll just be spelled different.
Or change how Lexi's written.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, either way, it would still be, because some people were saying put Lexi Love Q, right? Like for Queen.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But your way, you still get the same pronunciation.
Yeah.
You're still
change the I to a Y and change the OVE to UV, and you've solved the problem.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Believe me, if the two were in the same room, no one would confuse one for the other. These are very different appearances.
Okay, but the Lexi Love that's saying that Lexi Love is using their name is a company, or it's a person? It's a person.
Well, she's an adult actress.
She's a friendly adult.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
So, not that that's bad.
No,
it's just,
no.
But, it's interesting that she discovered that her name was being used and all of a sudden became an issue.
Yeah, they had a trademark that wasn't even valid, and then went back in to make sure that it was valid.
And it appears
after she sees that Lexi Love becomes a household name after Drag Race.
Some paper, right?
It's unfortunate because, obviously, she went into Drag Race, the Lexi Love in Drag Race, figuring that this was her name. This is, how she was going to brand herself. And obviously, she didn't really research that if somebody else is using it too. But it may not have been used, like you said, and it might be this person saying, you know what, I'm just going to capitalize on that. And they have their right. And it's unfortunate that I wish that the drag queens that going into RuPaul's Drag Race, when they come out, they're a little more educated on the business side in terms of how to promote themselves. Because once they become famous, they get all these followers and they get all of these bookings and stuff. But how do you sustain?
They don't know what to do with it afterwards, right? Like I was watching a documentary on The Biggest Loser, right? On the folks that lost all that, right? And it's like, okay, they're there for 6 weeks on, putting their body through horribleness, right?
Yes.
To get to this goal, and then nobody helps them after.
They're like shoved out of the net.
And then they're shoved and bye. We're done with you. On to the next show, right?
They gain all the weight back.
And they gain all the weight back. They don't know how to deal with looking in the mirror and seeing somebody else that's different, right? So let's talk about Drag Race, stars. They don't know now the notoriety. Now they're more famous. Now more people know who they are. Now they should make sure that their name is trademarked, like things like that.
But do you think that's is it up to RuPaul?
No, but I'm saying, like, when you go to the hospital, you get discharge papers. They should give you some kind of discharge papers when you leave RuPaul's Drag Race. Now that you're not with us anymore, take care of this.
If they get a good manager, and maybe that's an opportunity for some people in our LGBT community to, if they're not an entertainer, to be behind the scenes and help manage careers.
They go on to do many different things with Drag Race and stuff. I just think that, with a little more education, and coming out of that, they won't run into these roadblocks. They're such fragile when they come into this. I can't imagine, coming in off of wherever it is you're doing drag, and then you're on like the biggest show.
Right, someone coming in from small towns too.
And all of a sudden being bombarded with all of this, you see them go through. And I think Lexi has alluded to like having her own, substance abuse problem too. So, that it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot to figure out within a short amount of time.
A lot. I mean, on the show, we saw Lexi Love and her relationship with her mom. We saw that her mom had used girl when talking about her, and she was floored because it was the first time that she had referred to her as a woman. Wow. So Lexi went through some serious shit live on TV with us.
Yes.
That other girls didn't have to, I mean, so look, drag queens have had to reinvent themselves since the beginning of time. All right. That is why we look up to them. That is why they are our foundation and our base. Right. So I'm not worried about her having to change her name. I'm more worried about her music. Right. Because we saw with with Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star in the universe, had to go through to get rights to her own music that she wrote and played the instruments for. And so, like you said, we need something for these drag queens to make sure that they have something, some kind of something to their...
Like a graduation, like saying, here's where you can get this, and this. Hopefully they do that, but I don't know.
Well, we'll be watching out for Lexi, and we hope that you get to keep your name, however that is. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Wednesday, August 27th, Fort Lauderdale City Commission holds emergency meeting on rainbows. The battle over rainbow-colored crosswalks in Florida is heating up, and Fort Lauderdale is the next flashpoint. This Wednesday, August 27th at 6 p.m., the Fort Lauderdale City Commission will hold a special meeting to decide the fate of its rainbow crosswalk on Sebastian Street. In a call to action, Dolphin Democrats President Alfredo Alvera urged LGBTQ plus residents and allies to attend, writing, quote, "The rainbow crosswalk is more than just paint on the street. It's a symbol of visibility, inclusion, and pride. And right now, we all need to stand up for it," end quote. The debate comes as South Florida cities weigh how to respond to new state and federal guidance banning rainbow intersections. While some cities have quickly removed pride-themed street art, others are resisting. Key West voted earlier this month to protect its iconic Duval Street crosswalks by designating them cultural landmarks and officially naming the area the historic neighborhood of Key West. In Delray Beach, commissioners overruled their city manager, saying they'll wait for a direct order from Tallahassee before making any changes. Meanwhile, Miami Beach Commissioner Alex Fernandez dismissed the ban as a distraction, as a, quote, "a distraction, a solution in search of a problem," end quote. And in St. Petersburg, Mayor Kenneth Welch said his city will hold off until it knows whether public art can be exempt. Fort Lauderdale's meeting this week could signal whether its rainbow crosswalk and pride visibility in public spaces will endure or be erased. Fort Lauderdale's Mayor Dean Trantelis spoke exclusively to Queer News Tonight's Al Ferguson. He said, quote, "The state wasted no time in targeting Fort Lauderdale in its stampede to erase the pride of the LGBTQ plus community. I have called for the special meeting of the city commission to determine our response to the state's demands and to allow the voices of our community to be heard. This program against the gays is a wake-up call for all communities to stand tall and firm against discrimination and hatred. Let us stand our ground together and deny these aggressors what they are seeking to achieve," end quote. Hotspots Happening Out will follow this evolving story closely. Here we go again, rainbows under attack. And thank you so much, Dean Trantelis, for calling them out on what exactly they're trying to do. This time it's in our backyard, Fort Lauderdale, and we have a choice whether to cave to pressure or stand as a city of pride. And as Mayor Trantelis said, this is a wake-up call. A crosswalk might just look like paint to some, but to us, It's proof that we exist, that we matter, and that we're not going anywhere. That's what those colors on that walkway mean to me. And I'm so glad that Dean saw it fit. Like, we need an emergency meeting. It's got to be now, And I scream to all folks that this affects us all. They're coming for our crosswalks. Our marriage is right behind it.
Yeah, it's on their checklist, and we all need to stand up, as they said, and stand our ground. But then I was thinking about, because the crosswalk is near Sebastian Beach, right, which is the gay beach. So my question is, those sort of gates, the entry things, is that state, is that city, whatever? Because they could possibly add rainbow stripes to the gateway into it. I mean, there has to be other options.
Absolutely. Think outside of the box.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely look into different avenues of how we can express ourselves, especially around the city. If they're going to take away paint off of the crosswalks and bridges and things like that. I mean, there's protests going on tonight as we speak, in terms of Fort Lauderdale for this to happen, and in Wilton Manors as well. So, it's about getting out there and letting your voices be heard. It's more important now than ever, and showing up in numbers and being out there to say, no, we were not going to take this. We're not going to be erased.
No, And I think we're super blessed to have at the helm in our leadership someone like Dean Trentalis, who is one of us. You know what I mean? Like, he's not taking the BS, right? Like, it's not going to go over his head, or you're not going to go in the middle of the night and paint this without him knowing. And if it does happen, because again, I don't put anything past, Tallahassee and the powers that be, right? I mean, look what happened in Orlando in the middle of the night, painting over the crosswalk.
Sleazy.
Like little bitches. That's what that is,
Governor, distract us.
Oh my God. Well, that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight, and these anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ plus community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, FayWhat, and I wish you a fabulous evening on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Greg Shapiro, Edward Otto Zelke, and Larry Farver. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ plus world. We hope that you would join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, by being transformative, and of course, being queer. Good night.